It's not the workouts or the healthy eating that makes getting in shape so difficult for you. It's the lack of clarity. If you don't know what you're doing, where you're going, or how long it's going to take, then you'll forever struggle to commit to the process. So how long will it take you to go from 25 to 30% body fat with some man boobs and some love handles down to a lean 15% body fat with maybe some barely visible abs and some more muscle definition? Let's calculate how long it's going to take you to lose this fat, and I'm going to show you the 3 reasons why this takes most guys so much longer than they expect, so hopefully you can do things a little bit differently. By the way, if you want to skip the math coming up, use my free weight loss calculator. It'll spit out a 6-month plan for you of exactly what weight milestones you should aim to hit by when over the next 6 months. Totally for free, link in the description. Okay, let's jump into this. First, we need to figure out how much body fat you have in pounds, and then we'll just divide it by your weekly rate of weight loss to find out how many weeks it's gonna take you. The easiest way to do this is actually to figure out how much fat-free mass you have first. So we'll calculate how much of you is not body fat. And to do that, you're gonna need an estimation of your body fat percentage. Now you could go with something expensive like a DEXA scan or a bod pod, but those are inconvenient and you probably don't have one at home. And even those bioelectrical impedance analysis scales, or BIA scales, the type where you step on and it tells you your body fat percentage, those are wildly inaccurate and just a lot of the time way bonkers. So let's just use a visual analog scale. I'm gonna throw one up on the screen. Just take a look at this and estimate roughly where you are at based on what you see in these pictures. If you're not sure, just try to find a middle ground and kind of round up a little bit. I find most guys way underestimate how much body fat they actually have. Okay, so let's imagine you're 230 pounds, you're 6 feet tall, and you are 30% body fat. So we multiply 230 pounds by 0.7 to find your fat-free mass. We know that you're 70% not fat, right? You have 161 pounds of fat-free mass in this case. And we can just divide that number by 0.85 to get a rough estimation of kind of where you'd be body weight-wise at about 15% body fat. So we found out that you'll need to end up around 190 pounds at 6 feet tall when you're roughly 15% body fat, which means that you have 40 pounds of fat to lose. And then just take that 40 pounds of fat to lose and divide it by the weekly rate of loss. So if you plan on losing 2 pounds a week, that's gonna take you 20 weeks. And if you lose 1 pound a week, it's gonna take you 40 weeks. But it is really just not that simple for most guys, and here's why. Now, no offense, but you might be overestimating your ability or your willingness to actually stick to your weight loss plan, because weight loss is hard, fucking hard, but you need to be harder, my friend. Let's just start with the ability side of things. Losing fat is actually a set of skills that you can learn and develop. Think about like a character tree in a video game where you've got that skill tree and you can develop each of these individual little skills and make your character better. Same thing with losing fat. You've got all these individual skills like preparing your meals, tracking your progress via pictures, measurements, scale weight, tracking your calories, and staying active throughout the day. And if this is your first time doing this, you're probably not all that good at each of those skills yet, right? So you might as well just expect that there's gonna be hiccups, challenges, and difficulties along the way that pull you away from being able to be absolutely perfect with your weight loss plan. It might not go exactly according to how you plan, but you can embrace that and really just see those challenges and those difficulties as a chance to improve, a chance to develop the skills that you need in order to succeed with weight loss. Go at it with a beginner's mindset and don't see it as this catastrophe when, inevitably things get challenging and difficult. That's an opportunity for you to learn, and that's an opportunity for you to get better at the process. Now, what about your willingness to stick to the plan? I know that right now you want to lose weight really bad. You're watching a YouTube video about it. You want the fuck out of it. And trust me, I hear you on that. I know that you want these results yesterday. But how about 6 Thursdays from now, when you have a stressful week at work, you come home, you've got snacks in the pantry, and you're like, fuck, I'm hungry, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I don't know if I want to stick to this. Now, I'm not saying that you are not going to be able to stick to it or you're going to have low motivation for sure, but at certain points, you're going to find that your motivation dips. And that might make it harder for you to stick to the plan. If I'm being totally intellectually honest, that is a really big part of why so many guys fail at weight loss, and you have to account for that. Another reason this takes guys so long to get down to that 15% body fat mark is they're just not giving muscle the respect that it deserves. And when we think about dropping from 25 or 30% body fat down to 15% body fat, we're not just looking to lose as much fat as possible, right? That's just one side of the equation. What we can do in order to accelerate our progress, or at least make it happen at a reasonable rate, is to also think about the muscle side of the equation. We talked more about this in last week's video where I talked about the 5 ways to know you're actually losing fat and not just muscle, so check that out if you want a deep dive on this. But the reality is this: if you never pay attention to how much muscle you are losing or preserving or building, while you're losing fat, then you're gonna have a much harder time getting down to 15% because you're fighting an uphill battle. If you're losing weight too quickly, you're not training for muscle growth in the gym, you're not managing your stress, you're not sleeping properly or eating a high protein diet, then you're just paddling with one oar in the water. Why are you only pulling the fat loss lever when you could be pulling the muscle building lever instead, right? That would accelerate the rate at which you reach that 15% body fat mark, because as fat is coming down, muscle is building. The problem is most guys just don't have the right mindset around building muscle while losing fat at the same time, and they don't realize the importance of it. Imagine let's say you are 25, 30% body fat, even just to lose half of the fat that you want to lose. Instead of a 40-week diet, we're talking about a 20-week diet. Instead of a 24-week, we're talking about a 12-week diet. But along the way, you built a slab of muscle. You built an extra 4 or 5 pounds of muscle. So maybe you're 20%, 22% body fat, but you have some traps that push up against the back of your shirt. You have some shoulders that are wide. You got biceps that stretch out your shirt sleeves a little bit. That's a totally different look for you, my guy. People are coming up to you and making jokes like, hey bro, you wanna help me move my couch? I guess you don't have to go to the gym today, huh? And you can awkwardly laugh and go along with it, even though you hear that joke all the time now because you're fucking jacked. Even though you have a little bit more body fat, that muscle pushes up against the skin and it changes the way you look. With clothes off, obviously, you're gonna be absolutely sexy, bear mode, but also with clothes on, you just fill things out way more and it's an awesome look. So please, for the love of God, respect muscle growth while you're dieting for fat loss. Don't be a cardio bunny or eating like some baby bird Barbie doll, something like that. Your goal is to keep as much muscle as you can while you're dieting or even build some along the way. And don't let anyone on the internet tell you that it's not possible. I did a scientific deep dive on this in a video like 3 weeks back. You can go check it out. And the last reason this takes guys so much longer than they expect is they're just not accounting for breaks and slip-ups along the way. What about your cousin's wedding that's coming up? What about your trip to Mexico? You think you're gonna be on track for that? But here's the cool thing. You actually don't need to be on track during those periods of time, and you can actually use those times where it's gonna be difficult for you to stick to your diet as a little bit of a breather from the whole fat loss process that's gonna help you make it easier to stick to the whole thing long term. And here's what I'm talking about. That is called a diet break. And this is probably a whole video on its own, but you can use these periods of time where you're not gonna be able to be diligent with weight loss and fat loss efforts to take a little bit of a break from the dieting process where you actually just eat at a maintenance level. You're keeping your body weight stable for a number of weeks or months, which allows you to recover from the negative psychological and physiological effects of dieting. Side effects, right? Things like sleep disturbances, things like hunger, and the general monotony of dieting and meal prepping your salmon and your rice and your broccoli every week. That trip to Mexico can be a welcome break from the dieting process that allows you to come back fresh and hit it hard when you're ready to do it again. Think about it like a NASCAR driver. You're doing laps around the track, you're doing shake and bake, the slingshot, Ricky Bobby style, you got the frickin' cougar in the passenger seat, but after a while, your tires get worn down. You start running low on gas, you start getting unfocused. You need to pull in, get a pit stop, they change out the tires, they gas you up, they feed you some gummy bears and a little espresso shot, and you're back on the track ready to rip again. While yeah, it seems like a temporary detour, and yeah, you're taking a little break from racing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that makes you more successful long term. Yes, diet breaks take a little bit of time, but ultimately they are so worth it for so many people. And let me know in the comments if you want me to make a complete video on this. I'll dive a little bit deeper into it. Just add a little bit of extra time to your weight loss goal to plan for the unexpected things that are inevitably gonna come up. And if you use my free weight loss calculator using the link in the description, I actually program in specific diet breaks for you at specific intervals so you can know when it's time to take your foot off the gas and be a little bit more proactive with this. Going from 30% body fat to 15% body fat is going to be fucking life-changing for you if you can pull this off. Your physique is going to be absolutely completely different. People are gonna come up to you and say, holy shit, Jonathan, what the fuck have you been doing? Your face is different, your turkey neck's gone. What have you been doing? You'd be like, yeah, fuck, no big deal. Additionally, you're gonna feel so much fucking better. Going from 30% body fat, where you have a difficult time regulating your body temperature because you have so much excess body fat and just general day-to-day mobility stuff like getting in and out of cars and going up and down stairs, that shit totally changes, so you feel so much better every day and you just have ostensibly more energy that you can actually use to do things throughout the day, which unlocks a world of hobbies and all this other cool shit. But it is going to be difficult. It is going to be time consuming, but I'm sure you can stick with it. Just make sure that you account for the difficulties that are going to come up along the way, expect them and embrace them. Don't forget about how important muscle growth and prevention is, well, muscle retention is while you're losing weight, because that's an additional lever you can pull that's not just fat loss. And Take breaks along the way if you need to, especially during periods in your life where you know that things are going to be difficult to stick to on the weight loss side of things. Use that difficulty to propel yourself further long term so you can actually really stick to this. If you're brand new to the channel, my name is Matteo. Marra. What's up? Hey, welcome. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I will see you in the next one. Peace.